I've won 7 straight complimentary plays here on the video report, and I've got a couple more in college hoops for this Tuesday night card coming up. Plus, Matt Rivers, 3 for 3 with his blank check game of the year releases the past 3 days. You've gotten them all for over half price off. Another one coming up in the NBA tonight. You get it for over half price off. I'll tell you how in just a moment. But first, guys, I want to take a minute and talk about the stock market. We've talked about it many times because, listen, it is gambling. If you don't want to listen to it, fast forward in this video, 7 minutes. It's that easy. But listen, I've joked about it. You know, I've told my advisor, one of the guys I use at Wells Fargo for the past 20 years, that what he does and what I do, there's absolutely no difference. Because as a handicapper, as a financial advisor, you do extensive, exhaustive research. And I believe I do more than they do, because many times at these firms, they take orders from down high and they pass it on to their clients. I do the work myself. And then you've got a 50-50 chance at either having a success with a mutual fund or stock pick or not. But as I've talked about the market, you know, I do not subscribe to the theory that what has happened 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and 10 years has any relevance and any impact on what is happening today. That the market that we have seen the past 6 months, that is not happening now. It's gone. It's over with. We have new cycles, as we have seen the past 10 days. That is the here and now. And this is the marketplace that we now have to invest in. And that's what we have to live with. You've got to forget the past. That's the reality of life when it comes to this current environment that we're living in. And we have seen a marketplace that has been fueled by hysteria, by emotion, by panic, and by fear over the past 10 days. One of the things that I think is most important is you've got to avoid the talking heads on TV, because so many of them remind me of 800 sports handicappers from the 80s and 90s. Jim Cramer, chief among them. Good guy. I get some important information from him every now and then. But so many times he reminds me of one of these guys that is, he might as well be screaming absolutely free, absolutely free. That's how I truly feel about it. Because so many of these guys, and Kramer included, yes, they have some logic in behind what they say about, listen, during a bad time in the market, you've got to be able to weather the storm, that it affords you buying opportunities. There is some logic behind this. There is also those guys out there who for the past 18 months have been telling you sooner or later there's going to be a market correction. The guys that are bearish are telling you there's going to be a 10, 15, 25% correction. They're the ones that right now over the past week have been standing at the top of their soapboxes telling you, I told you so, I told you so. Well, they've been telling you for the past 18 months. They're finally right. They're like the guys in this business, the handicappers, the gamblers who tell you after the dog finally covers on a Monday night for the first time in 2 months, I told you the Monday night dogs are the way to go. They're the same guys. You got to tune out them. Now, the advice or my words here are based on how your portfolio is structured. If you're a conservative investor, or if you're evenly balanced, well, you can weather the storm. If you're like me, a guy who really didn't play the market much up until about a year ago, and I got heavily invested because I do about 6-7 hours of research a day on the market, just like I do 6 or 7 hours of research in handicapping. I find it fascinating. And I apply the same principles I do to handicapping as I do to looking at stocks and mutual funds. That's the bottom line. I am very aggressively postured in the market, and I have been for the past 6 months. But those 6 months are gone. Because I realized that about a week ago, maybe last Thursday, that after the losses of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, oh, this was bad. Because I felt that the little rock that started at the top of the hill was turning into a boulder, and it was only going to get worse. And as we approached the weekend, I thought, I can't weather the storm, not in my particular portfolio. Because, and now listen, I'm going to share with you. So in my numerous portfolios, you know, I had won, and I talk about it in terms of winning and losing because it's gambling, because I've been aggressively postured. I had won like $66,000 for the month through, you know, various things. I had won that much money. It was a pretty good damn month because of the way the markets have responded. Well, starting last Thursday, I went on a selling spree. Because the way I looked at it, if you're aggressively postured, is that once the losses started, yes, sooner or later the market was going to correct, as it did today, and you're going to have a positive day. But if you're aggressively postured, you know, and you lose, and that wave turns into a tsunami, How many winning days do you have to compensate and get back all the losses you have? In my case, and if you're overly aggressive in the market in terms of your portfolio and the way you're postured, you've got to sell. So when the talking heads are saying, hey, you weathered the storm, that's not advice for everybody. It has to be based on how you're doing it. So for me, 100 shares of Walmart, sold. 150 shares of McDonald's, sold. 50 shares of Apple, 50 shares of Facebook, 100 shares of Micron, sold, sold, sold. 100 shares of AbbVie Pharmaceuticals, sold. 100 shares of Artesian Partners Management, sold. I probably sold between ETFs and stocks well over 15 positions, and oh God, I can't even tell you how many tens of thousands of dollars of stocks I sold in the past since last Thursday. And subsequently, I probably saved myself easily, probably $15,000 to $20,000 in losses. Now, that $66,000 I had won, I got about $5,000, $6,000 of it less because I still couldn't protect all my losses. But I look at it this way. I'm playing from profit. I don't mind. That's a horrible thing to say, but I don't mind because, again, I was playing from profit. But I was able to maintain that profit by aggressively getting rid of it. Now, today we had another huge swing. Almost 1,000-point swing in the market today. I believe the key to the market today is what happens tomorrow. Because we are living in a market right now which is governed by hysteria and by feelings, emotion. That's what it's powered by. I believe if the market tomorrow is good, that everybody's going to get that feel-good feeling again that they had up until 10, 12 days ago. And the market will then suddenly start to respond because the public is driving the market as much as the market factors are driving the market. People, you saw what happened 2 days ago. When that market started plunging, and suddenly at 3:15 2 days ago, when, for example, Vanguard's site crashed, Fidelity Investments site crashed, and you couldn't get on and do any trades when the market was plunging well over 1,000 points. When people start feeling good, the money starts flowing again. You saw it today. If it continues tomorrow, I think it's a great buying opportunity. It's a great time to get back. Now, again, these are my opinions. These are me being based on my aggressive philosophy. Now, I will tell you, I'm not going to be as aggressively postured when I come back in because now I've got a huge cash portfolio and I've got to go back and slowly rebuild and pick my spots because I've got to see if what this market will bear, because the market I'm going to go back and buy in is not the same market that I was buying in aggressively from August until 10 days ago. So anyway, that's my market philosophy. I find it fascinating. I find it every bit as much as fascinating as handicapping and gambling because it's one and the same thing. So my wife, who's out in Vegas right now, I'm here in Philadelphia freezing my ass off. She's back in Vegas. I'm talking to her about this today. And she says, this is like an addiction to you. Pot calling the kettle black? My wife got in this morning at 10:30 this morning because she knows I'm not there. She got in at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. What was she doing? She was out all night. She was out playing video poker all night. She was out playing slots all night. She was probably at least 5 or 6 casinos last night from 6 o'clock after dinner till 10 or 11 o'clock this morning. And my wife is telling me I have an addiction? Seriously? Okay, let's move on to those college complimentary plays. By the way, Matt Rivers, you can get his latest NBA blank check play. Last night, it was the Nuggets over the Hornets. On Sunday, it was the Bucks over the Nets. Tonight, it's his road route of the year. You can get it for over half price off by using coupon code BLANK. Remember that Dom Chambers is going for his 7th straight NHL winner. You can get it for over half price off by using coupon code DOM. And Eric Carmen, I was about to say. Eric Carmen. Oh, my God. Quick! What band in the 70s did Eric Carmen make his debut before having all those solo hits, mainly coming off the Dirty Dancing soundtrack? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, That band was the Raspberries. Eric Schrader is the guy we want to talk about. He has another 109 play, and you can get it for over half price off tonight. His Big 10 game of the year on Michigan Northwestern. You get it over half price off by using coupon code ERIC. Let's talk about the game between Tennessee and Kentucky. I believe Tennessee is the better team. I used Tennessee as a complimentary play on Saturday, and they absolutely smoked Ole Miss at home. Tennessee's won 5 straight and 8 out of 9. Now, here's the thing. Tennessee is the higher-rated team, higher-ranked team than Kentucky. Tennessee beat Kentucky at home, a stretch of games where the Volunteers have won 5 straight and 8 out of 9. Won 76-65 at home January 6th. You got a Kentucky team that's coming off a 69-60 loss at Missouri. And Missouri is just the average team in SEC play this season. And this is a Kentucky team that has struggled here recently at home. Last home game beat a mediocre Vanderbilt team, only 83-81. But the question is, can the Tennessee Volunteers win at Rupp Arena for the first time in 12 years? They're a 1.5-point underdog. On paper, Tennessee is the better team. But you walk into Rupp Arena, and you got the echoes of the Kentucky program. You've got the legends of the Kentucky program. You've got that aura of the Kentucky history coming at you. But the Volunteers are the better team, and this Kentucky team is up and down. You just never know what you're going to get from Kentucky. I like Tennessee tonight plus the 1.5 points because this Kentucky team is not that good. So I'm willing to take a shot with Tennessee, who has been very, very good to me this season. Another interesting SEC game. Mississippi State is minus 3 points at home tonight against Alabama. Now, I used Mississippi State as a free play on Saturday because I thought Mississippi State at home in that particular contest against Georgia was a great play because Mississippi State at the time was 14-1 at home, and they were coming off their first road win after going 0-5 in true road games at South Carolina in their previous game. So I thought the Bulldogs would be psyched, they would be pumped up, and it showed in the Battle of the Bulldogs because they took care of business as a 3.5-point favorite, beating the Georgia Bulldogs 72-57, and Georgia was coming off a home upset of Florida in that game. Now, you've got an Alabama team that beat Mississippi State in Tuscaloosa 68-62 back on January 20th. Ironically, you have an Alabama team this time that it's coming off its own win against Florida in Gainesville as a 7-point road dog on Saturday, 68-50. What is interesting is the first time these two met in Tuscaloosa, Alabama was playing without its star point guard, its freshman Colin Sexton, who missed the game because of an abdominal injury. He's averaging about 19 points, 3 assists a game. Well, you know, Mississippi State has its own very good freshman point guard, Nick Weatherspoon, who's one of the best defensive players in the SEC. He's averaging about 11 points a game. He's scored double figures in 4 straight games, coming off 14 points against Georgia, 17 points in the road win at South Carolina. So it's going to be a fascinating game because Sexton is not 100% healthy because that abdominal injury is still definitely affecting him. The one thing Mississippi State does extremely well is play defense. They lead the SEC. They're 29th in the nation in terms of scoring defense, allowing just 65.3 points a game. They're 20th in the nation in field goal defense, holding opponents to 40%. What has hurt Mississippi State this season is their shooting and their offense. But they've hit it a 50% clip or better in their last 3 games after not doing so in their first 7 SEC games this season. Alabama, you never know what you get from game to game. You got a Miss State team that's 15-1 playing in revenge. I'm willing to lay the 3 points with Mississippi State in this contest. And one more play for you. Let's take a shot with Cincinnati minus the 14.5 points. At home, and remember, at home this season is really they're playing in Northern Kentucky's home arena against Central Florida. Now, Cincinnati has won 14 straight games. They're 12-0 playing at Northern Kentucky's home arena this season. They're coming off a 65-57 win at UConn. Their last home game was an 80-70 win against Houston. They won the first game between these two in Orlando, 49-38, in a game that was a cure for insomnia, as a 7.5-point favorite back on January 16th. The Knights are coming off a 69-65 home loss to Houston. They lost their prior road game, a game in which I went against them at Wichita State, 81-62. The Knights, that's Central Florida, they're just 2-2 since losing their big 7'6" center Taco Fall, who was number 2 in scoring and rebounding on the team, averaging 11 points and 7 rebounds a game. University of Central Florida, very good defensive team, but they struggle offensively. They're number 11 in the 12-team AAC in terms of scoring, averaging, just like 63, 64 points a game. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this game. I like the Bearcats playing at home, and I think they'll have a easier time getting to the basket without the big 7'6" guy impeding their progress through the lane. So Cincinnati is going to be the play here in this one, especially without Taco Fall. If I had to rate the plays in terms of which one I liked more, boy, they're tough games. I would give a slight edge. Mississippi State number 1, Cincinnati number 2, and Tennessee would be the long shot of the 3 selections. So that'll do it for today's video. I wish you well, and talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.